Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Rewind the Tape. I'm your friendly neighborhood soda, joined as always by the Robin to my Batman, the Superboy to my Superman, the Aqua Lad to my Aquaman, I guess.
I'm older than you. What the fuck?
I'm taller than you.
No, how tall are you? How
6
tall
feet.
are you?
6 feet.
Okay. All right.
And today we are joined by our special guest, none other than Ryan Payne. My man, how you doing?
I am pretty well. I'm just kind of enjoying this back and forth between the two of you right now, so it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's basically us in a nutshell. It's because I'm taller, Ben. It's because I'm taller. I make this suit look good. But that's a different franchise. That is
Yep.
Yeah, it
Which
is.
I actually said the one time I actually looked good in this suit. But no, we're not here to talk about Men in Black. We are here to continue our deep dive into the Batman universe, but this time with what is a lot of people consider the best Batman film, but not just the best Batman film, one of the best films, period, ever made. We are looking at 2008's The Dark Knight. The second part of the Christopher Nolan trilogy. Once again, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, replacing Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes. You had Maggie Gyllenhaal, and then you brought in Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face, and of course, in his greatest performance, Heath Ledger as the Joker. Boy, this is a tour de force movie. It really is.
How long before was Brokeback Mountain before this?
This was before. I mean, this was after. This was after.
It was after. Well, Dark Knight was essentially his second to last film, so it was before. Sup, Brennan, my man?
Hey, Brandon, how you doing? Yeah, Dark Knight was the second to last, and the last film was The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. So
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's why there's multiple people playing the same characters, because unfortunately he died during the filming.
Yes.
So 2008, I know I would have been 21. Same with Ben. How about you, Ryan?
I believe I would have been exactly 20 at that time. Wait, hold on, May? No, I would have been. That was the year I was turning 20. So
okay. So what are your memories of Heath Ledger being cast? Because I know I was one of the guys going 10 things I hate about you. Really?
I personally didn't care. Honestly, I'm like, I wasn't throwing a hissy fit on most people. I mean, of course, I was surprised. I'm going, huh?
Yeah.
But then I remember I liked him in Knight's Tale, 10 Things I Hate About You. Of course, Brokeback Mountain was one of the things. Huh?
Loved him in The Patriot.
The Patriot, yes. And then that movie he did, he plays a priest, I think it's called The Order or something, but yeah. And then, of course, the only films I knew of him was the rom-coms he did, like Casanova, Brokeback Mountain, that stuff. So I'm going, rom-com actor playing the Joker. I mean, there were some people where I was in the camp of, oh, I can't believe it was him, but I was never in the camp of, oh, boycott this movie, or they made the bad choice. Yeah, I was not into films at that time. I mean, I wasn't a big film buff. I was just more of, let's see what you got.
Yeah, this is the movie. I wasn't into films like I am now. I watched a lot of movies, of course, but I wasn't I wasn't part of the internet community, so to speak. But this is the last time I questioned the casting. Because after this is well, okay, then this is what taught me to put my trust in directors and stuff like that. So they know what they're doing.
In all honesty, the first time I saw 10 Things I Hate About You and A Knight's Tale was last year, so I didn't have any of the baggage going into this movie. So
So it connected with you that much, huh, Brennan? This movie it definitely got to me. Don't get me wrong. I was all in on it, but I can't say it shook me like that.
It has things you kind of shake, because you don't think about it at the time, but by the time you finish the movie, it's a dark-ass movie. No pun intended.
100%.
Yeah.
And it ends.
I remember being in. I remember what the trailer to this film. I was watching. I Am Legend. I bought tickets to go see Will Smith in I Am Legend, and
Nice.
I was in the theater, and this was a matinee show, so there was maybe only 10 people total, and so just watching, and all of a sudden, I hear that Hans Zimmer score, and then I just see clips back and forth the story, like just the whole setup where I'm seeing Gary Oldman, that scene where they're at the jail where he goes, nothing. His clothes are custom made, no fingerprints, nothing in his pocket but knives and lint. And then it just keeps, then it goes, then it has those clips back and forth. I see Aaron Eckhart, like going through a crowd and ducking his head. I'm seeing Batman, and then all of a sudden I'm just hearing his voice just, come on, I want you to do it. Come on, hit me! Hit me! And then, of course, and then the trailer ends with,
why so serious?
Actually, well, why
that
so
was everywhere that year. Do you remember the promotional campaign? Like, there was websites and everything that you could go and like look for Easter eggs to find out about the Joker. It was crazy.
Then I remember the promotional photos of Ledger as the Joker. Like, some people were going, oh my God, why does he look so realistic? I mean, the Joker is supposed to be acid dip. But I'm like, you know what? I don't mind this interpretation, because I'm going, no, because even now looking at it with Nolan, after watching the first Batman Begins, there was no way you were going to introduce the Joker as someone who got dropped into a vat of acid and had his skin bleached. Especially with Nolan's films, now that we've seen most of them, he doesn't go for the insane, like wacky comic book stuff. He stays streamlined when it comes to his films. Yeah. So knowing the fact that this Joker was scarred,
true, Brandon Hurt as well, who I think I would have liked to see more with him as Two-Face before we got rid of him.
Yeah, I didn't like that quick turn at the last act. Honestly, I would have wanted
that was done because Nolan didn't know he was going to do a third one at the time, even though he really wanted to, and have Two-Face be his villain. That's why Two-Face was thrust in there like this.
Yeah,
I'm 100% with you, Ryan. I love 90% of that movie, but the last act, Two-Face, happened so goddamn fast.
Yeah.
He's good at it. Don't get me wrong. He's great in it. We didn't even get enough of him.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really doesn't undercut Aaron Eckhart's performance. Aaron Eckhart is just going, I'm not saying balls to walls, but we're definitely jumping ahead here, but just seeing how he performs as Harvey Dent when we first meet him, and then when we see him Two-Face, just like with even with the earlier set with Raish, he's set as a tragic character, honestly. He has all this, he's painted as the hope of Gotham, but then because he's painted as his hope, and of course, no spoilers for people who have not seen this movie yet. When that turn, when it comes to when he makes that big Rico bust with getting all those mobsters in jail, that was like, looking at it now in the storyline structure, this is the highest point to where Harvey is like in his career. And then when that dead body hits that mayor's office window, I'm going, and now we're gonna get to the tragedy.
In my opinion, they did what they did for Two-Face here, what the Long Halloween did for him in the comics. Like, it's similar origin stories, really, really well done. I do agree. It's very, very powerful. It's just unfortunately because of the circumstances we didn't get Two-Face as much. But that design, man, is like so real but grody.
I think the fact he was so quick to rush it in, I'm pretty sure if Nolan had taken time, the Two-Face we would have seen would have had the skin grafts or so, like not completely.
I don't know if you would change the design, and personally, I think the design is great.
But I'm just saying, because in certain scenes, the funny thing was, I was listening to a podcast called oh my god, you guys know this YouTube show called Lessons from the Screenplay?
No.
Well, it's just this YouTube series. They do these shorts, video essays on certain films. They have a podcast where the crew gets together and they talk about the films they watch. They have a trilogy. They have a whole 3-act setup on each Batman film. When they got to The Dark Knight, they did talk about, of course, the Harvey Dent, the whole makeup thing. They did say in one scene when he goes to confront the dirty cop Wirtz, when he drinks that alcohol whiskey and when he wipes his chin, they did notice in small details that some skin actually comes off when he is wiping the alcohol.
I think there was even like a flap or something like that too. It's just
I did not pay attention to that shit, and I rewatched this a lot. And when they pointed that out, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I popped in my Dark Knight DVD and went to that scene. I go, what?
Yeah.
That is just that. It's you really would not pay attention to that from your first viewing. And I know when I got to see this film, I was there for midnight.
How grody that is.
It is. It's very unsettling.
Very.
But I remember I went to see this back then when midnight premieres were actually a fucking thing. I remember being in fucking line, getting to the theater. Actually, I asked my dad to drop me off at our local theater 6 hours before so I can stand in line so I can get a good seat.
Yeah.
Before you can pre-order your seats and all that shit. Anyone who's watching this are understanding, what do you mean you sit in line to watch a movie?
Yeah, back in our day, we used to have to wait in line. I still remember doing this for the Phantom Menace.
I did that actually, The Dark Knight was the first film I went to get in line for the midnight premiere.
Yeah. For the midnight? For me, I think the first midnight premiere I went to was The Wolfman a year later. Because my hometown, when The Dark Knight came out, and it's still the same now, there's only 2 screens, so they don't do midnight premieres or stuff like that here. It wasn't until I moved to Vancouver that I was introduced to that concept.
And what about you, Ben? What was your first midnight premiere? If you can recall.
Oh, well, that's easy. I've never been to one.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not like you. I can't do midnight.
Oh, don't worry. You condition yourself. You can.
Trust me. I was like one of the first 10 people there staying in line. And even though that you're waiting, you're looking at your watch or your flip phone at the time, and you're just waiting when they'll let you in. But at the same time, you get to talk to so many people who are in line for this event. So by the time they do open those, by the time they clear out most of the theater from all the other last minute showings, and they open those doors, and this was IMAX, so good God, I remember getting myself a good seat, not too far in the back, not too close up front, perfectly down the center middle.
I do remember waiting in line for one movie, Superman Returns. When there wasn't that night, there was during the day.
Yeah, I've waited in line for majority of the Marvel movies since I've been back in my hometown.
The only one I ever did that for was The Winter Soldier, and that was when during college. Funny thing was, I was just gonna go see it by myself, and then all of a sudden, a couple of my theater pals were all waiting in line as well, and they're going dude. And the funny thing is, my ticket was for a separate theater, but they're like, oh man, come sit with us. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. You technically bought a seat, so
yeah. And funny thing was, the ushers were not even that anal about looking at seats. But beyond that experience, though, I won't say it's nothing compared to. I mean, all I will say is that first experience really hooked me in watching theaters in live crowds. Because at first, I preferred getting tickets for matinee shows or maybe even an evening movie. Yeah. But being in a crowd of so many fans of Batman and fans of the first film, we were so excited. I even remember a couple of the trailers that was in our Dark Knight showing. One was for the Christian Bale-led Terminator Salvation, which at that time, movie was bad, but when you see that trailer, and then you're just hearing Christian Bale narrating, and people are wondering, what is this? And then all of a sudden he goes, this is John Connor. Yeah. Everyone went crazy. Yeah.
I remember that trailer. It's so bonkers. Yeah, that movie is unique.
You know what? I mean, the unpopular guy here, I don't hate that movie.
I haven't seen it since the theater, so it's been a good while since I've revisited it.
There are good parts of this film. The problem is that it has no idea what it's trying to be. That's true. Because there's another spoiler for the fucking film. The film is trying to tell the story of John Connor, but then at the same time, almost everyone out there is aware of the legend of John Connor. And John Connor is just a simple foot soldier. And for some reason, the prophecy of him, the whole story of him being the prophesized leader exists in that world. That's the one thing that I just couldn't connect story-wise.
It would have probably hit better if it didn't have any of that lore attached to it, because it really doesn't feel like a Terminator film.
Well, never going into that, man.
That's for rewinding the tape on
That's my last detour from this whole discussion.
There is one question about that movie I wanted to ask you. That CGI on young Arnold was so good in that movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was like, that was the first time I was like, holy shit, they did it.
It worked perfectly because of the visual. It was a darkly lit area in the room, so you can still do where you can get a good young Arnold, but not have it dominate too much. And they did a good job with the close-ups, and they kept him very far away, so they didn't have to waste it. So then, once the flesh did go away, you had at least enough of Arnold in that film that didn't overload your senses.
Yeah, that's
okay. Back to
Gotham City. So just a little bit of a plot summary. A gang of criminals rob a Gotham City mob bank, and the Joker manipulates them into murdering each other for a higher share until only he remains and escapes with the money. Batman, Harvey Dent, and Jim Gordon form an alliance to rid Gotham of organized crime. Bruce Wayne is impressed with Dent's idealism and offers to support his career. He believes that, with Dent as Gotham's protector, he can give up being Batman and lead a normal life with Rachel Dodds, even though she and Dent are dating. Mob bosses Sal Maroni, Gamble, and the Chechen hold a video conference with their corrupt accountant, Lau, who has hidden their funds for safekeeping and fled to Hong Kong. The Joker warns them that Batman is unhindered by the law and offers to kill him in exchange for half their money. After the Joker kills Gamble and takes over his gang, the mob accepts his offer. Batman finds Lau and brings him back to Gotham to testify, allowing Dent to apprehend the entire mob. The Joker threatens a string of murders unless Batman reveals his identity and starts by killing Police Commissioner Gillian Loeb and Judge Cirillo. He targets the mayor, but Gordon sacrifices himself to stop the assassination. Rachel is the next target. Bruce plans to reveal his identity to stop the murders, but Dent, refusing to allow him to do so, announces that he is Batman instead. Dent is taken into custody, and the Joker attacks the convoy. Batman and Gordon, who faked his death, rescue Dent and apprehend the Joker. Rachel and Dent are kidnapped, and the Joker reveals that they are in separate locations rigged with explosives. Batman races to save Rachel, while Gordon attempts to save Dent. Batman realizes too late that the Joker sent him to Dent's location instead. Both buildings explode, killing Rachel and disfiguring half of Dent's face. The Joker escapes with Lau, whom he kills along with a Chechen. Coleman Reese, an accountant at Wayne Enterprises, deduces that Bruce is Batman and tries to go public with the information. Not wanting Reese to reveal revelation to interfere with his plans, the Joker threatens to destroy a hospital unless Reese is killed within the hour. The Joker convinces a disillusioned Dent to seek revenge for Rachel's death, then destroys the hospital. Dent goes on a killing spree as the vigilante Two-Face, targeting those he holds responsible for Rachel's death. After announcing Gotham will be subject to his rule come nightfall, the Joker rigs two ferries with explosives, one containing civilians and the other prisoners. He threatens to blow them up, but will let one ferry live if the passengers blow up the other. Batman finds the Joker by exploiting the sonar capabilities of all the phones in the city. The civilians and the prisoners refuse to kill each other, proving that Gotham still has hope in good. As SWAT takes the Joker into custody, he gloats that Gotham citizens will lose hope once the admired Dent's rampage becomes public knowledge. Gordon and Batman encounter Two-Face, who has held Gordon's family as hostages. Two-Face shoots Batman and threatens to kill Gordon's son, claiming that Gordon's negligence is responsible for Rachel's death. Batman tackles Two-Face off the building to his death. He persuades Gordon to hold him responsible for Dent's killing spree to preserve Dent's heroic image, believing Dent is the hero Gotham needs right now. Dent is hailed as a hero, and the police launch a manhunt for Batman, with Gordon unwillingly destroying the bat signal. Yeah, this movie hits you leaves you with a gut punch. Really, really does.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about Gordon's death, guys. Did you buy it, and were you surprised when he came back?
No.
Yeah.
I remember the first time watching it, you're just so into it, you're not paying attention. But I mean, when you rewatch it, you definitely, it's kind of predictable. But
I didn't buy it. Oh, yeah.
The first time I saw it, it got me.
I didn't buy it mainly because of the damn trailers. Because
right.
They had that scene where Joker's in prison, then all of a sudden Gordon is shot. I'm like, nope, this is not true. So then all of a sudden, when it's revealed Gordon's not dead, I'm going, of course. I mean, it was just one of those times where my logic, where unfortunately the trailer kind of ruined one part of the film for me, which was supposed to suck you in the narrative sense. And honestly, it's a strong narrative if Gordon was dead, because you see what happens in the aftermath. His wife is devastated, and also Gordon is kind of like his death is a domino effect, honestly, because not only is the wife devastated, but it also leads the MCU, the Metropolitan Crime Unit, the Metropolitan Crime Unit, to go to the rooftop to want to talk to Batman. And I love that one cop. I forget his name, but that cop, my God, that should have been Harvey Bullock, honestly, because
I know what cop you're talking about. Yeah.
Because I will get back to that cop later, but then it leads to it's a domino effect. The wife is upset. What the kid, James Gordon Jr., sees Batman there and she's hearing her unleash her frustration, her grief, and her anger out into the sky, thinking he's not there, but he is, and it leads him to go after Salvatore Maroni in that nightclub.
Did you cringe the first time you saw his legs break?
That pop sound, especially in IMAX, I'm going, eesh. I love the fact that I love how he's such a cool. I love Eric Roberts' performance. He's just a calm and cool character. He's one of those guys where I'm gonna come across some strange shit, but he stays in control. The only time he ever breaks is the first time when Batman throws him off that spot. And I love the line, from one professional to another, he could have picked a better spot. The fall wouldn't have killed me. And
he doesn't throw him, he just drops him, so he just plunges and lands on his feet.
Yeah, the heels, falling on those heels. I don't know what snapped, his ankles or a freaking femur.
I want to say it was his femurs.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it wasn't like he squealed or so, but it was pretty much that Sal knew that Batman was not kidding. And I even love what he says is like, Sal's not an idiot too. He knew he fucked up by getting the Joker. Actually, he's the only one who was against getting the Joker. It was the Chechenian who was saying we need to get the Joker. And I like that exchange when Harvey is being interviewed and the Chechenian's like, he's right. We must take the blue problem, Batman. And I like the turn. It doesn't say a lot to where you're crazy, but it was just more of don't do it. And they do it anyway. And then I like how later on he comes back and he realizes that, yeah, it is too much. And he tells Gordon where to find the Joker. Like Salvatore Maroni, he may be a mobster and he buys corrupt people and he corrupts cops. But you can definitely see, like, in a way, he's sort of like a necessary evil in a way.
Basically, yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Batman is you need those mob bosses every once in a while in his story.
Can I just say one thing?
That's what you want to say.
I think one of my favorite lines in me watching this yesterday is Jim Gordon telling somebody he wanted to get trapped in the MCU, and that's line for line what he said.
And one of these actors actually is in the MCU.
Yes.
Which one?
See, well,
is it the actor who plays Lau? No, it's not. No.
Yes, actually, he is. He's part of the World Council at the end of Winter Soldier.
Yes,
that's actually who I was referring to. I was referring to David Dastmalchian.
Oh yes.
His very first movie was The Dark Knight. He was working as a theater attendant. And just this week, they announced that he signed on to star in Christopher Nolan's latest film. How cool is that?
Well, don't forget he's going to be in Thor.
That's right. Christian Bale's going to be the villain in Thor. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So, yeah, hey.
He's not MCU in this, taking all the DC people away from us.
Pretty much. Now all we need
all that's missing is just for Michael Caine, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Morgan Freeman to be in an MCU film.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I have a question to throw out to you guys. From your episode with Batman Begins, I mean, not much was touched on with Kate Holmes' performance as Rachel. But what did you guys think of Maggie Gyllenhaal's performance as Rachel in this one?
I mean, it's clear that Maggie Gyllenhaal is the better actor, but just for me, I preferred the way Katie Holmes did it. That's kind of the version of the character I like the best. I found her more believable as a possible love interest than I did Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal is Rachel Dawson, like the best friend. The girl that next door that you don't have feelings for, but your best friends all grew up from kid to adulthood.
Yeah. And
Kitty,
like, I was to say, her death would have hit harder if it was Kitty Holmes.
yeah.
True, because one thing I do appreciate by rewatching Batman Begins more is honestly Katie Holmes' performance, because she's playing a role. Because looking at it, I mean, Nolan was wise to create an original character like Rachel to be not an instrument, but not a tool, but kind of like a motivation.
She was the first love interest to be created for those movies. Everyone else prior to that was from the comics. Yeah.
But I like with Rachel because I don't want to go too much in Batman Begins, but her interactions with Bruce, she is the thing that kind of that makes him realize that his ploy to kill the man to kill Joe Chill was wrong, and also it spurs him to go to visit Carmine Falcone, who's only referenced in this film by still being in Arkham. But still, she's a main motivation, and also she's no slouch either. When Bruce comes back from being from the League of Shadows, from being almost halfway around the world, she's still in Gotham fighting the good fight. She knows the whole city's corrupt, but she's one of the few trying to, still fight it from within. Especially her, and I like how with the Scarecrow, even though in that film Batman Begins, not many people find him as a Batman antagonist. He was more of an antagonist for Rachel, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's one of the things Maggie Gyllenhaal, she's great in this. Not to get me wrong, she's only good when it's her interactions with Aaron Eckhart, honestly, with Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
When it's her and Bruce, you're right, Ben. She gives off the vibe of not a love interest, but the best friend or the childhood friend you grew up with, and you know that there's no romantic feelings for her. That's why in that one scene on the rooftop at Bruce's fundraiser, I don't feel no romantic tension between the two of them, especially later on when Bruce after confronting Harvey and he goes to talk to Rachel. Even then, she sounds like someone who's just confronting. She's just trying to comfort Bruce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, as a friend.
Yeah, that's why when Alfred reads that letter, it makes a lot more sense that there's nothing there for Rachel. I love in the letter she says, "When I told you the day would come when the Gotham doesn't need Batman, we'd be together. But I know the day will come but the day will never come when you will no longer need Batman. And when you do, I will be there as your friend." Yeah, and I like that. It's her saying that, look, we won't have a future together. But that doesn't mean I still can't be a part of your life.
Right. And that's another thing, like that voiceover for that letter would have hit harder if it was Katie Holmes.
Yeah. I will say this, the one knock against Katie Holmes I do have, she didn't kill King Joffrey when she had the chance. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm pretty sure everyone threw that at Batman because he gave King Joffrey something. He saved him from those crowds. So.
Yeah, and I got to be honest. I might be the only person who, when I saw Game of Thrones for the first time, like, shit's the kid from Batman.
I didn't put those together until I rewatched Batman Begins during the Game of Thrones days. I'm going, what the fuck? But
yeah, so sorry, Ryan, do you want to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna continue adding on. One thing I will say with the two differences, and it's nothing with change of actor, but also Rachel's unfortunate position, or at least her status in this film. Because in the first one, she's a headstrong 88 trying to take down corruption. She's someone who is a thorn in the side of Carmine Falcone, of Scarecrow. She becomes an ally to Batman, and one of the people who can kind of see through Bruce's BS. In this one, unfortunately, she may not be a district attorney, but she's kind of played as a side character. She wasn't like because in the Batman Begins, you can almost see her as a leading lady or as someone who can be Batman's inside eyes and ears in the legal area of Gotham. In this one, it changes from, okay, we have Harvey Dent. Let's focus on him. How can we keep Rachel involved? The two are dating together. Instead of just being, how about, in that one scene when Bruce comes back, he's getting his arm stitched up. Instead of Alfred confronting him, when he goes out to that oh my god, that container, Rachel's on the outside going, yeah, I thought the same thing as you did. And they both go and see Bruce stitch each other up. So then in that one, when they're all talking together, Rachel could have been there as a side counsel to Bruce Wayne, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
She could have worked.
You're right. I never thought about it. She's still a pretty big part of the story, but she's more been relegated.
Yeah, to love interest.
And like Brennan, trust me, I do get it. And I will say for the longest time, I was actually in the other camp. It's like, of course, Maggie Gyllenhaal, better actor. But it's just like watching it this time around, it's like, yeah, I kind of prefer the Katie Holmes just because it fits better for me. But
it's not wrong with wanting to get a more calibrated actor, a more professionally calibrated actor for a role.
Yeah.
But I can understand Brendan's comment of the whole Dawson's Creek thing, because I'll be sure. Like, I only saw a couple of Dawson's Creek. It didn't stick with me. But even then, unfortunately, that stuck with Katie Holmes throughout her career, which is weird because Michelle Williams is from Dawson's Creek, and yet she is able to have the Oscar calibrated career that many people were saying with Maggie Gyllenhaal. So
I was going to say, well, like Katie Holmes is good, but she's not Michelle Williams.
I know. It's different types of acting. It's like my favorite. One of my favorite fun facts when it comes with Nicolas Cage. He did this interview where he's talking about his role in Face Off and says that there's one exchange he had with John Travolta on how they were going to play each other's characters. And Nick Cage goes and he tells John he wanted to do more of like a commedia dell'arte kind of acting, or kind of more of a auteurist or Dada sense. And Nick Cage, I love it when he said John's response was, "Oh, it's going to be that kind of acting." So it's the different mindsets of how people want to tackle a role. If Katie Holmes was in this, I'm pretty sure she still would have had that same energy from Batman Begins. But because it was Katie Holmes, you would have been more connected to her character.
Yeah.
And
so, for that, there's definitely, there really is pros and cons to it, of course, any other recast.
Yeah, this film kind of stands as an example of when, even though you recast the better actor, sometimes it's not the good thing. But go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side of that coin. I didn't even mean that.
I know, but go ahead. Keep going.
Anything going on today. Look who's playing Batman in the Batman. Robert Pattinson.
That's right. Sparkle Boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that.
I'm gonna go see it again tomorrow, honestly.
Again? I have to wait till tomorrow night.
I went to the that little fan experience that they were doing for Tuesday in the U.S. They were doing a fan experience in certain select cities.
Nice.
And I got lucky. Two theaters, 50 miles away from my house, they were showing it. Although one of them still had plenty of tickets left for seating. The other theater, unfortunately, they just had 88 tickets. So I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I can't wait to watch it tomorrow. But we'd be remiss if we didn't deep dive into the Joker here.
Let's do this. Yeah.
My lord.
He's behind me for a goddamn reason.
Right? I said it before, Jack Nicholson is the bomb. But, this is a tour de force performance. Wow. I think he would have won the Oscar even if he didn't die.
I agree, because it's so strong from he not just does, it's not just the voice he makes intimidating, it is the facial movements, the commitment to his body language. Because when you see him in the film, every time he's moving, he's either slightly hunched over or he's slouching. He is never standing up straight to command attention. The moment the Joker is on screen, he already has your attention and he already knows what's going to happen towards the end. That's why one thing I will say, Joker,
Seamus, you think this performance is a little cartoony?
It kind of works, honestly, because it's meant to throw people off. It's because let's take a look when during your little synopsis, that opening scene at the bank, when all those guys are talking about the rumors of the Joker. They're trying, the Joker at that point, he's already established amongst the criminal element, and there's already this legend of him going across. So then once the first guy gets offed off, and then you start hearing, Joker told me to kill that guy, more money for us. Oh, I was told the same thing. Boom, the systematic killing of each bank robber. And then the fact that the Joker planned it so well that he knew he was going to be the only one walking out with that money. That's why I think his line to Harvey Dent, to where he's an agent of chaos, is a bullshit lie. He has everything in control from the moment he's.
Oh, he planned everything.
Yeah,
he planned everything, of course.
But I will say that even then, even after he robs that bank, when the cops go over the evidence, they review the crime scene. It's already amongst to the cops. He has a trademark calling card. And even then, I love how when he shows up, I mean, that's why when the mob...
Sometimes that does help is, definitely the dialogue.
Yeah. And then I will say when the mob talk about him, they write him off. So when he shows up, he's a little cartoony because of the bright purple clothes, the makeup, the little bit of his green hair looks like it was freshly dyed. He's not meant to be taken seriously. That's why when he does that, how about a magic trick?
Oh, okay. That's the first time I saw that was just like, whoa! Like that was the first one in the movie where I was like, holy shit!
That got gasps and shock and laughter.
It happened so fast.
For me, it wasn't that moment. For me, it was a window moment. With that body hand against the window. With the Joker makeup on.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah, when they're all doing the gun salute at the memorial, and then all of a sudden you see that him turn. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. What is it makes you stranger? Yeah, there's that, and when he burns all of their money, and then he says the dog feeds detection to the dogs. It's like
that's how a hungry dog really is.
Oh yeah. Dear Lord, it's a death worthy of Ramsay Bolton. And what I like, it's like that one of the few times at that time where they actually didn't kill off the villain. Because unfortunately, the villain died in real life.
Yeah. But even then, I like how it still ties to the story to where when the Joker's on his rampage, just killing many people. And I like because now rewatching it, you know that line when he says to Batman, these civilized people, when the chips are down, they'll eat each other. It clearly it played itself out the moment that first pretend Batman was killed, and then came the judge, then came the commissioner, and then the mayor's life was threatened. It was there every step of the way. And I would even say that one scene when Gordon and his rookie not Martinez, but
Ramirez.
Thank you, Ben. When Gordon and Ramirez go to that scene where they find two dead cops with the fake names of Richard Dent and Patrick Harvey, and when Batman goes in there and asks, "I need time," her immediate response to him, where she's like, "That vitriol, that was just a sample taste," because it's night and day from the first time when he shows up in that bank. She immediately walks away. She's like, okay, I know the routine. Come on, guys, get out. But then when he shows up again, she has some venom to spit at him.
Yeah, that's one I would like to have seen. What's her name in the comic books?
Ramirez?
No. Montoya.
Montoya, right?
Yeah. Basically, her and that other character, Michael Wirtz, they're basically the Bullock Montoya avatars for this movie, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. That's why I kind of like there was a mixture of original characters in this mixed with some comic characters, so it didn't it wasn't too overloaded with characters from the Batman film, from the Batman comic book. But you do see how there is a lot of not gags, but payoffs. And I'm forgetting the narrative.
Foreshadowing. There's a lot of foreshadowing, and there's there's definitely a lot of stuff that's planted earlier that you do see.
Connective threads. Sorry, connective threads. Because nothing is dropped off. Not a lot is dropped off in this movie. Everything comes back later on. Like when I said with Ramirez being the one who spits venom at Batman for being angry at him for the dead cops in there. And then when Gordon is killed, what happens?
Technology to spy to find out where Lau is comes back later to spy on Gotham City to find the Joker.
Yes. And even when he and I even like when he says even when Joker is describing Batman has no jurisdiction, that also comes back into play too. Because when Joker has those hostages in that building, all the cops are like, they're waiting for SWAT to come and do their job because off of Gordon's orders. But when Batman's going in there, he's not going to ask permission. He's not asking Gordon for permission. He just says, give me 5 minutes and then go in. And you can even see the hysteria on Gordon's face because that pressure is mounting up. He pulls a gun on Batman. A man he's supposed to trust. I mean, a man he trusts. And because of the pressure, I like how Gary Oldman does. Like, he pulls that gun. He's like, we got 20 hostages in there. And he's like, I have to save those. Dent's in there. I have to save Dent. Like, this the whole mania in there for that slight loss of control. And then he snaps back in where he just goes, get ready. All right.
Another thing that Nolan took from the comic and gave us is the white eyes. They named Batman white eyes.
The very first time you saw the white eyes in a live action movie. And, very practical way to do it where it is your sonar screen. That is just such good stuff. Such good stuff. Let's hop over to the costume here. What did you guys think of this costume compared to the previous one?
I like it. I like it. I like it more, to be honest.
See, I like the first one, but I prefer the cowl on the second one.
Yeah. Well, it's clear that it's meant to show two differences in Batman. The first one, this was like obviously Batman Begins. He's being very theatrical. He's mainly assembling himself. So when I even like in the opening, well, not the, but like when he stops that drug bust between the Cheshire and the Scarecrow, you can see in his costume, it still has a little bit of that tied back to the first one, but it's more heavily padded. And it does save his ass in that fight, but I do love the fact that it's not invincible. Like, he gets dog bites, he gets shot. And I like.
And what's funny is they drop a line in here that pays off at the end in Dark Knight Rises about getting stabbed between the plating. That happens in the next movie.
Yes, like I said, Nolan doesn't like to drop a lot of stuff. He brings it back, which is why he even says, like, there's even one good like, even bringing back in Batman Begins, like, he says that sucker will stop a knife at like when he talks about the killer armor, like, is it terrorism? They'll stop a knife. And then I like when he says, can't stop gunfire, anything but a straight shot. We go to Harvey Dent when he does the whole flipping the coin and it gets the tails on Batman. He fires a straight shot at him. And even though it doesn't completely wound him, but you do see that if you slow it down, it does penetrate his armor a little bit. So you can see that there are still some holes in that arm. There are still like some gaps.
And that is the line, if I'm not mistaken, in this movie where basically Lucius tells him, like, for speed, you're going to be sacrificing safety here.
Yes.
And he'll be able to move my neck.
Yes. Be able to turn your head.
Yeah. That's pretty much the main impetus for the new costume, was to turn the neck. This is a different Batman, but like Ben and I had this conversation not that long ago. But do you think they're going to keep that mechanism for Michael Keaton in the Flash, like the neck movement, or do you think they're going to keep it with the one-piece cowl?
I think it is going to be a one-piece cowl because if that's supposed to be an older Bruce Wayne, I'm pretty sure he can't.
He needs the neck support.
Not just the neck support, but he's going to need that extra protection, especially if he's older and he's a little slower. So he won't have to worry about speed. He just needs to maintain that stamina.
That's fair. I don't see him. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Another reason there, Kingpin. Memories. The whole reason Michael Keaton is coming back is a nostalgic feel.
That's true.
Because they could cast another Bruce Wayne, one older Bruce Wayne. And they're bringing back Keaton because, hell, I'm not interested in the Flash movie. I'm sorry. Ezra Miller is okay, whatever, but they added Michael Keaton, not getting me interested.
But I'm also looking forward to seeing their interpretation of Supergirl as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But speaking of Batman, guys, it's talked a lot, but Batman in this film, how was he for you guys? Like rewatching this, like the difference in the like Batman as a character from Begins and Dark Knight. Like, does it still hold up a little bit, or was Batman better in Batman Begins than in this?
It's tough. Like, I mean, there's definitely some positives in here. Like, you tell he's a more mature Batman. He's closer to Batman as a detective in this one. Really, my only main detriment is the voice. I didn't like the change in the voice. But you know what? I might go in this one for the better Batman. I would probably go this one.
How about you, Ben?
I'm with you in him with the voice. The voice.
Yeah, whereas in the other one, fear me. Like, you can still hear it. Where this one is just like, okay,
maybe you can see in the first one it worked because he wasn't really trying to conceal his voice that much, unless he had. That's why I love the whole the swear to me, because he's just interrogating the guy.
Yeah.
When he's doing that to a group of people, especially those pretend Batmans, like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. You should have. That's why the one thing I give Zack Snyder credit for in BBS, electronic voice modulator. Jesus Christ.
I'm always a proponent of that. I mean, if the dude's a billionaire, he can afford a lot of these toys, so he can afford a freaking voice modulator.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Everything Batman and Batman v Superman is great. For me, what loses me is everything Superman.
So everything else, pretty much. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, the warehouse scene? Are you kidding me?
Oh, warehouse scene is the best Batman scene, period, we've had on film so far.
He nailed Batman as a character, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's why I feel the Dark Knight. I will say here, the Dark Knight, even though everyone says this is not, I mean, I remember one of the big praise people were saying, like, oh, this feels like a mob crime movie with Batman in it, or it feels like I remember hearing those people giving this praise. Like, oh,
and that's funny is you've got the new 2019 Batman saying, wait till they get a load of me.
That is, I can't wait for you guys to go see that Batman. I personally think you guys are going to love it, but But to go back on what I think of the Dark Knight, I think this Batman, he is good in the scenes where he is not playing opposite the Joker. Honestly, when it's him against Salvatore Maroni, Batman shines. When it's him and Harvey Dent, Batman's great. When it's Batman, just that little scene with the Scarecrow, and then all of these other guys, he's great. But the thing with I don't think, and I'm not trying to say pairing Batman and Joker is not good. Their interrogation scene, 100% fantastic.
Yeah, and let's just like the right before that, when you see the Joker clapping, improv. That was improvised. It's on the script.
Well, let me ask you that. You say it isn't 100% when you see them together. Could that be that Heath Ledger is outperformed Christian Bale in this movie?
Oh, he is, because the Joker is at his core, even though even though Joker is a psychopath. But you see here, Ledger is focusing on the showman aspects of Joker. He's focusing on the manipulator that the Joker is, because the goons that you can see with the goons that he brought, from the bank heist to the men he's hired to dress up as cops to attack the mayor, to even the goons he had in that truck. He does not care about their lives. They're only there for a means to an end, especially that goon he has in the MCU with him, who's constantly complaining about stomach pains. And the Joker, that one look to the Joker where he's just kind of, where you can see he's chuckling to himself because he knows what he did.
The first time you saw that, and then you see the light blinking through his stomach, you're like, holy shit.
It wasn't just a cell phone. It was that wide shot. Then all of a sudden, before the fire, you see explosion of guts and then the fire of the bomb.
Yeah, which is realistic.
I just want to make my one phone call. Can I please make my one phone call?
Phone call, please not kill me.
That's one thing that I think the Ledger did better with Joker than unfortunately Bale did with Batman, the voice, because even though Ledger is using he likes to talk like this,
but
that's what he's enunciating.
Ledger came out a couple years ago. He practically ripped off Tom Waits.
Yeah.
In an interview. Did you guys ever see that interview?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna try to bring up like a couple seconds of it, but close your eyes while you're watching it. Trust me.
I'll go more into my ledger voice, but yeah, okay. Let us know when you pull it up. But what I'm just saying is that Ledger.
I got it.
Uses,
popularity.
Listen to this. Close your eyes.
United States, Japan. I travel extensively in Europe as well. I don't do half bad.
They tell me you have a new.
Does it not sound like Heath Ledger is the Joker?
I've performed in Dublin and done very well there as well.
I mean, yeah.
I
hear the droll, like when he drags.
Yeah, it's when he's speaking like they killed it. I was like, first time I heard it, I was like, holy crap.
I just had a thought. Imagine if Heath Ledger played the Joker and used his British voice the whole movie.
Oh, his actual voice?
Yeah.
His Australian voice?
Australian, I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know. That would have been that would have taken me out of it if I'm being honest.
It would have been like even David Prowse knew Darth Vader.
Kinda, yeah. It really
It would have, but I think
or like Batman being British because Christian Bale really has a Welsh accent.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why it's one thing. Look, as much people want to hound Bale for those voices, because of the fact that he has a Welsh accent, he still has to work with giving an American accent as Bruce Wayne, which is why I ease off of him a little bit. But to go back to Ledger's voice in different scenes, he does when his voice. He's always he knows exactly when to enunciate, when to stretch words in order to make a point come across. That's why I like that.
Is it the scene where he entered, like at the dinner party scene where somebody says he's crazy? He's like, I am not. I am not.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not. Yeah. He's not raising his voice. He's just going like he's trying to reassure. Oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. And then, and then that exchange he has with that cop once Batman leaves, where he's just like, oh, I want my phone call. I want my phone call. I want my phone call. And you can see that I love the fact that Joker, he's just reading this guy at the door. It's not him trying to get under his skin. He's just reading him to and it's literally the particular that scene. Because when he asked him, how many of your friends have I killed? And then I like the cop's response. I'm a 20-year man. I know the difference between punks needing a lesson and the freaks like you that get off of it. And I like how he's just rolling his eyes like, okay, come on, get to the point. And then once he says she killed 6 of my friends, that's exactly, he got what he wanted so he can start pulling those strings. So then the moment he's talking about, why I use knives? Guns are too quick. You can't savor all the little emotions. Like, using that's what when he's doing that, he knows it's literally like a worm just slowly going inside your head, and it's kind of like
the grain of doubt, the grain of thought, just plants it in there for it to bloom. Yeah, he's trying to use every word to grasp this cop's attention. So finally, when he knows, when he gets to the point where he says, "So in a way, I knew your friends better than you ever did." And see, so here's the thing, like, thinking back on it, and the line where he says, I am an agent of chaos, I don't think it's because he's chaotic. I think it's because he thrives on making chaos. Yeah. I agree completely. Because of his planned actions, what happens when his plans go correctly? Chaos happens. Yeah, exactly. And chaos happens throughout this entire film. Either it's through mass panic or characters acting rashly, like you saw after the tie back to Dent. When Dent is first introduced, of course, it's through Bruce like talking about I've observed him, and then you see him in that scene in the courtroom making an entrance for being late, and then doing the whole, hey, I want to interrogate him. How about we flip for it? Knowing ahead of time that was going to be the coin we knew was, some people didn't think it was a two-headed coin. Some people thought, oh, it's a heads and the tails film. But then once he's getting arrested, gives Rachel the coin, and then he says, I'm not leaving my life up to chance. Where you see it's two-headed. That shows you that Dent has been using chance and randomness
to manipulate events just so he can always get his way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would have liked to have seen him in a sequel of him as Harvey Dent, him realizing all throughout my career and my life, I used that coin. Yeah, he was trying to control things. That's why I don't mind that Joker speech in the hospital where he goes, "They're all trying to control their little world. I just show you how pathetic your attempts to control things are."
Let me ask you guys a question. This movie, in an alternate movie, in an alternate world, Harvey Dent is in the whole movie, and that he gets his face blown off, and that scene you see of the movie is a reveal. One side Harvey, the other side Two-Face.
Yeah.
But and in part 3, you don't have Bane, you have Two-Face.
Yeah, I think that would have worked better, but just shit. If you were to do that, you'd eliminate that really good scene in the hospital.
I mean, I'd say I'd still keep that scene, Ben, but then instead of, like when Harvey Dent leaves the hospital, instead of having it revealed that he's going on a killing spree, he just gets he gets out of town, or he's, away, like he's back at City Hall. Like, let's say, for example, Joker makes that speech, and then Harvey makes that decision, like, you live, you die. And then you cut away from that. And then throughout the rest of the film, nobody knows what happens to Dent. You cut out that moment with Salvatore Maroni. You cut out him killing Wirtz. You cut out him kidnapping Gordon's family. You focus on Batman trying to tackle the Joker. So then when Joker makes that thing, when the world gets a look at the real Harvey Dent and all the heroic things he's done, Batman leaves. It can turn to, let's say, I would say it can almost end at a point where Harvey is at, back at, City Hall, where he works as a lawyer, and you can just see him by his desk. He just goes to sit down. One shadow, you have the shadow covering that scarred half side. You have one light on Harvey Dent, and then he just turns around in his chair, and then another half, and then the light's gonna shine on both faces, and then you cut credits.
Cool.
Good cliffhanger. I think that would be a great cliffhanger for Batman to realize a new threat is coming, but at the same time, Harvey Dent is at City Hall, so you don't know exactly if he's putting together a plan or if he's going to start creating chaos, wrecking havoc.
I either way, I hope that scene when Joker's leaving the hospital stays in there, because that is my favorite scene in the whole movie, and it wasn't planned. It was not planned. That is a genuine reaction because the explosion.
The bombs were not going off.
That's genuine. Heath Ledger going, "What the fuck?" And then, love it. Yeah, because it's not often you see the jump and the thing fly out. He just walks off. I love it.
Okay. I know you guys, there's limited time here, but I think we do need to talk about two more fantastic elements in this film, and that is the performances of the Bat Cycle. I was also going to be talking about Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. Yes. This is, I think, out of the three of them, I think this is Morgan Freeman's best performance as Lucius Fox, because he has more to deal with, because he does have the moral conundrum of does helping Batman and his things kind of make the world unsafe. That's why he was against the use of using the sonar on everyone's phone and stuff like that. I just think he had more to deal with in this movie. It was his best one.
My favorite part is when that guy figures it out, and he's interviewing Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, and he's like, "What you mean to tell me is that your really rich boss, you think he's the Batman and you want to rat on him?"
I love it so much. I memorized it word for word. So let me get this straight. You think your boss, one of the most richest and powerful men, is secretly a vigilante, beating criminals to a pulp at night with his bare fists, and your brilliant idea is to blackmail this person?
Yeah, not well thought out.
It just shows you, I love how Morgan paints that picture. Yes, they're kind of been caught, but how can I phrase this in a way to where he backs off, but still doesn't snitch?
Yeah, because really, if you say it out loud, it sounds kind of weird.
Yes, well, not just weird, but then also you realize what happens if Bruce Wayne does find out, and Batman's reputation. You think Bruce ain't gonna hesitate to threaten you? Like, he plays it off as if Batman's gonna hurt him, but it was clearly just a scare tactic, which worked.
Oh God, yeah. Because could you imagine what Batman would do to him? Dear Lord, hang him outside his window by his toenails.
I'm pretty sure Batman would have transferred him out of Gotham.
When it comes to Michael Caine, for me, it's the third one that's the best role. This one is he's okay.
What about ain't the one where he's talking about Burma?
He's comparing the Joker to a bandit
right.
On Burma, come across in Burma.
Yeah, which is yes, a great scene. But I just think as a character development, I think the third one's not as bad as the next.
I have found you.
Oh yeah, well of course, because you see what he thinks of Bruce Wayne of as a son. So when he's dying, of course he's devastated. He spent his whole life trying to protect this guy, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, especially I like it does tie into Alfred's feelings of Bruce, especially in Batman Begins. He was focused on him having a future outside of Gotham. That's why I think he is great in Dark Knight Rises. He's like, I knew there was no future for you here, only pain and misery. And then you even do see, like, in the small moments when he goes to Bruce in that container, he's stitching his arms off. He sees those body scars, and he's like, know your limits, sir. Yeah. And he's constantly there trying to remind Bruce, you're human. Sure, Batman's a symbol, but you're still human. You have your limits. There are things there is a line that you won't cross. Not as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne. And he's pretty much there's the moral conscience. He's trying to be the Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder. He's like, look,
pretty much
become Batman. That's why I'm partially against him burning Rachel's letter. He should have kept it, not just as like a little trump card, but kind of just more of a reminder, like, one day, if Bruce gets too low, he needs to read this.
Yeah, would have been a good idea.
Because, it doesn't take away the performance that Michael Caine gives on that hallway with Christian Bale. But I still think that there was more. I mean, I like the small bits that we get of him, and as much it was kind of weird, the story of him talking about his old days with his buddies running into the Bandit. I like the allegory, though, because even before the Joker, there was men out there who did not care about money, wealth, or power, who just wanted chaos, which we get that quotable line, some men just want to watch the world burn.
I use that all the time. All the time.
I remember during the time when Vine was popular, that freaking line was used in so many jokes.
Mm-hmm.
For personal problems.
Why would somebody do this? I'm like, because some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. Why does somebody want to cut me off in traffic? Because some people want to watch the world burn. Like, it was just a fun throwaway gag.
Why did they cut that scene out of that movie? Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. Why the hell? Yeah, I was good. Sorry, go ahead.
Why your thing is? Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Why is there such thing as ham on pizza? Because some people want to watch the world burn. I'm sorry.
No, ham?
I'm sorry for that.
What about pineapple? Why is it pineapple on pizza?
I don't mind the occasional.
I knew that was tit for tat. I wasn't gonna do that because I actually love pineapple on pizza. And I've actually Googled. There's been other fruits that have been put on pizza that is not worse than pineapple, but makes people go, "You're overreacting over pineapple."
A little bit.
Next time you try pizza that has figs on it, that had apples on it, that's actually had banana on it. I'm not talking about dessert pizza.
At Boston Pizza here for a while during the summer, there was a pickle flavored pizza.
Yeah, there's crazy combinations you can make out of pizza, and yet pineapple's that constant line in the sand for everybody. Wake up!
I'm sorry. Did you say pickle pizza?
I'll see if Steve is still up there.
I've seen cucumbers being put on pizza. I'm not talking about the flatbreads that's popular nowadays, or from what you see in the Mediterranean pizza. I've seen an actual pizza place. They put cucumbers in there because they used it as a pairing to the goat cheese that they were putting on that pizza.
I don't know how we got on pineapple pizza.
We were doing the whole Michael Caine Watch the World Burn. I did that jab at Canadian bacon, so I figured pineapple was going to be coming back at me. That was all my plan, just to manipulate into a pineapple pizza tirade.
People burn. People don't want to watch the world burn. But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to say on this movie? The second superhero movie to ever be put into the Library of National Congress.
Oh. What was the first?
Superman.
Oh.
No, I was actually the photo you brought up of the Bat-Pod cycle. Fucking love that. I loved its reveal, and I loved how narratively he made an excuse. He came up with a reason for it. And also gotta talk about that goddamn chase sequence in the film.
Yes, I can't believe we haven't touched about that yet. The chase sequence with the semi. Holy shit! And to think that's a practical stunt.
And the IMAX too was, and he shot all that in IMAX, which is so perfect. Especially seeing that in a fucking packed theater at a midnight showing. Everything was fantastic. Not a lot of music was used. Everything was relying on the sound environment to put you in that situation of that annoying ass cop who's just freaking the fuck out. That's why I loved it. I mean, the reveal of the semi truck. Slaughter is the best medicine, to the tumbler coming in, seeing Batman take out these vehicles. I just loved everything was a great like ad. It was an improv thing, like a yes and. First, okay, they're distracted. So what's gonna happen? A cop car's put in there. He's got a semi truck. And what else he's got? Machine guns. What else he's got? A rocket launcher. Batman comes in to counteract it. Batman comes in to counteract it.
Like one of my cool things was to see on the bat bike when he goes and hits the wall and he just goes up and like spins and comes back down. Whoa, that was cool.
My audience actually they clapped, they cheered for that moment because that came right after he did the whole setup with the cables onto the truck. Right. The moment he did that onto the wall and landed perfectly down, I heard this. Woo! Yeah!
I wouldn't doubt it. It's such a badass moment. And then the Joker gets out of the semi and he's just like, come at me. Come at me.
He one-ups the whole, though. He one-ups Jack Nicholson's little, come on, come at me. It's more like, come on, I want you to do it.
Yeah. It's basically the same moment, but two sides of the different coin. Because one, he really wants him to come at him, but the other one is like he's gonna pull out that really long ass gun, and it's just the same thing. That was the Joker.
That is the most riskiest game of chicken I will ever see, honestly.
Right? Yeah, and then Batman is the first one who flinches, and then he gets him in the end.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything else? Is there anything else you guys want to say before we log off? There, we're over an hour already.
I could go 3 hours or 4 hours talking about the Dark Knight, but I don't want to waste your guys' time. I mean, not waste your time, but make this too long for you guys. Can't like who's
because it's already 8 o'clock for us. And it's 11 over on the East Coast. So yeah. Okay, well then, Ryan, thank you very much for joining us for this. It's always good to have you on to talk Batman because you really know your stuff. I'm assuming it's one of your favorite franchises. Is the Batman?
It is. It really is one of my favorite franchises because it's Batman. Unfortunately, I mean, for good and bad, Batman is a template on how comic book movies can be approached.
Right. It's true because you got it for both ends of the spectrum. You got on how not to do them with Batman and Robin, and then you got how to do them with Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.
Yes, and also depending on how you approach Batman as a character is also going to tell how you're going to approach other grounded heroes. Like when you bring up Renee Montoya, she later inherits the comic book alias The Question. Yeah. It also is going to tell how you can tackle characters like Deathstroke, Green Arrow, characters that are not like superhuman, but are human because they push themselves beyond their own capacity.
And you just got in Peacemaker, you got Peacemaker and you got Vigilante.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love Peacemaker.
Oh, that's such a great show. I love it. I can't wait for season
2. I'm actually
2.
glad there's a second season coming. I'm so glad.
Me too. And okay, spoilers, but when you saw Momoa and Miller, where you just go like, "Holy shit!"
I loved it. I almost would have been. I would have been. My jaw would have dropped if Gal was also on that screen too.
Oh yeah. If all of them were on that screen, I've been like, beep.
Yeah. I did learn behind this. Of course, you did learn behind the scenes. They originally were wanting to have Batman on there, like the stand-in for Batman. But looked like it was a bit too much.
I didn't think Fuck King Perry is one of the best lines in every TV show right now.
Well, we'll see Miller, right?
I mean, it'll be a good one.
It was pretty wild seeing somebody swear at the Justice League, if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah, you're late, dickheads.
yeah, exactly. Then didn't they call Aquaman like a fish fucker or something like that?
Yeah, he's like, "Go fucking another fish, asshole." And then James Gunn slightly goes, "Oh, he's like, I'm sick of that here, a rumor." It's not a rumor. Like, Gunn, are you trying to say something?
Well, you never know with James Gunn. But anyways, Ryan, where can everybody find you all over the internet?
Well, everyone can definitely find me. You can go on my social media, Facebook, Ryan Payne. Follow me on Twitter, caramel_Payne. Currently, right now, currently I'm only doing one bit of content, and that's my podcast that I co-host with my buddies James Shimo and Brenton McPherson called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages Podcast. It is a wrestling podcast for anyone out there. We changed up our format to where instead of doing weekly recaps and reviews, we try to do good topics. We talk about wrestling news, but then also do maybe count like top 10 lists, or we give our quick thoughts on a pay-per-view. We try to keep our we're trying to keep our content coming out so people can watch. So we don't record an episode or our podcast every 2 to 3 months. Because right now we have 3 new episodes out. Our one episode. We still have our best and worst of 2021 out. We also have a recent episode where myself, Brenton, and James talked about the news of Cody Rhodes leaving AEW. We're also going to have later on a top 10 of our favorite pro wrestling promos. So keep an eye out. So keep an ear out for those. And you can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, Podbean, Anchor, and Stitcher. At least I think Stitcher. I didn't look at Stitcher the last time, but they are available on these podcast formats.
Very nice. And Ben, what about you?
You can find me every Tuesday right here on Run Up Tape, every Sunday with Matt and 50 Shades of Geek on Get Ready. You can also find me on my new YouTube channel, The Multiverse of Geekdom. I'm doing new shows there, really excited. I have some big announcements coming up, and yeah. And find me on my Twitter, Ben_Vinny.
And as for myself, you can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_Saxman. You can find me, like Ben said, Thursdays here. The next time you can see me on camera on this channel will be Sunday morning on Northern Countdown with Ben and 50 Shades of Geek. So yeah, don't forget we also have the championship match for the Star Wars Alien or Not belt this weekend. So definitely check that out. Jess put out a great promo on Twiter. If you haven't,
a good promo. It's a good promo.
Go follow TV Jess on Twitter and go take a look at that promo. It was pretty badass.
Oh, by the way, you're going to be on Nolan Online this week. Come check that out on Sunday. It's back.
Yeah, definitely come check that out. There will be a special announcement, I believe, at the end of that video. So on behalf of myself and Ben, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. And we will see you next week on Rewind the Table, where we'll be covering The Dark Knight Rises. So see you next week, folks. Same bat time, same bat channel.